Hilary O Neil is a very well-respected performer, comedian and impressionist, as well as director, choreographer, scriptwriter, and you can also enjoy her voiceovers, after-dinner speaking, and then she finds time representing the UK's upcoming ventriloquist Max Fulham and mentalist Matt Daniel Baker. Hilary has time for us all, and today she tells me about her incredible career, which includes moments alongside Joe Pasquale, Joe Longthorne, Ken Dodd, Victoria Wood, Freddie Starr. She is a joy to watch and to listen to. So over the next hour, learn about one of the funniest and most talented ladies in our business today. By the way, I'm not one to reveal a lady's age, and so I kind of defabricate the actual time she's been in the business, but she's done it all, and she hasn't finished yet. But I've just taken a little bit of time off of her time in the business, just because I love her. So welcome the fabulous Hilary O Neil. Hilary O Neil, a star of TV and stage, is one of the funniest ladies on the cabaret circuit, making millions laugh at sea, on cruise ships, and on the corporate circuit for the last 5 years. Now, in Eastbourne, I went to see you in Eastbourne, and Hilary was talking about her life, and she held the audience in the palm of her hand with her stories. I could have sat there all day and listened to more. And today I get that chance to sit here all day or all night and listen to you tell me more stories, because I've got you all to myself. And I love this. Hilary O Neil, thank you so much for talking.
That's okay, my lovely friend. How are you doing, Steve?
Very good, very good. And
good.
And you know what? Every time people see you, and I know everyone has got their own, their own ways at the moment through lockdown and things going on in their own lives. But you ooze this beautiful sunshine with your energy, with your smile, with your words. You love people, and you are just a spreader of love and laughter. So this.
For you. It's great to be asked. Thank you.
You were a dancer on the Ken Dodd shows. Now, tell us about the dancing on the Ken. You weren't a Diddy man. No, you were doing. No, what were you doing on the Ken Dodd shows, and how many seasons did you do with Doddy?
I did start as a dancer. You're absolutely right. And the Ken Dodd show came about after a couple of professional jobs. One was at the Fiesta in Sheffield, which was a massive variety, gorgeous cabaret club. You'd be far too young to remember it, but it was absolutely stunning. So I was one of the dancers there for a season of about 3 months, where I first met and absolutely literally fell in love with Marty Kane, who was my idol.
Wow.
But that was it came a lot later, obviously, going into comedy. But then I was in awe of her, absolutely in awe of her.
Wasn't she an amazing comic, wasn't she, Marty?
Oh, Marty was just the most down-to-earth, most gorgeously normal. She was the star of the show. So we'd have an opening dance routine, the support act would go on, we'd do a up to the interval routine, then we would be ready to go home. We could go home. But we, more often than not, but I always stayed every single night to see the cabarets that were on for a week. So if I liked them, I'd see them every single night. And I sat through Marty's show and so many other top of the bills that season, just on my own, because the girls just went home for cheese on toast. And I was just drawn to watching acts work. Who knew?
You can have cheese on toast at 2:30 in the morning. There's always time for that. What was it about Marty?
Marty was just what she combined was glamour and then hysterical content for her act, which was very, very northern, but she was so approachable. You looked at this woman working, going, I know I'll like you if I meet you. That was the thing that came over most with her. And indeed, I did. And she chatted to us in the dressing room. She'd come and sit with us with a towel round her and her heated rollers in, and watch us from the wings, do our routines and stuff, and come chat to us in the dressing room. And I thought, oh, that is so lovely. She's a real star. She was a massive name then as well. So that was the first time I met Marty. I then worked with her later, which I can come to. But the Ken Dodd thing, so I was offered a summer season, Blackpool Opera House, 1981, and I did the whole season, 12 dancers. We were all from Lane Theatre Arts in Epsom.
Okay, wow.
So we all trained. Actually, no, I think a couple of the girls weren't. Yeah, a couple of the girls weren't, but we were mostly Lane Theatre Arts, and it was just incredible. 6:10 and 8:40 every night. So sold out, just under 3,000, the Opera House, isn't it? I think, seating.
It's huge, yeah.
And every single performance was rammed.
Wow.
You know, you never looked out and went, thin house, you know, it was just, and that was for 18 weeks, I think, every single night.
You're kidding.
Nightly,
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you must have had digs up there, because you said you were from Surrey, Epsom. So what? All those girls went up to Blackpool for the season to do that whole show.
Do you know what? I'm just trying to think where I lived. I can't even think for a second. I'll come back to that. Where I must have had digs, because how extraordinary. I've gone absolutely blank on because what was I then? I don't even mind people knowing my age, it's fine. So I was 20. I must have stayed with a couple of the other girls. I have to have. Yes, of course I did. It's all coming back. I stayed with 2 other girls in a house. Right, I've got it. I know exactly where it is. And it was an incredible season, lots of laughs. Ken would arrive so late. We would be on stage in our opening yellow feathers and bikinis with all 12 of us ready to come down these incredible stairs through revolving doors. And the overture was probably about a minute, if that, of the orchestra. And then our routine was probably about 2 minutes, if that. And then there was the da-da-da-da-da-da, you know,
the signature, yeah.
And Ken was pushed on, he's going to date me, in a mini metro, which was the car of the time.
No, wow.
And every day, when I'm stood at the back, I was the last of the sets of 4 girls to go through the doors. So we went through in 3 sets of 4. And Ken would pass me from the dock door of the Winter Gardens across my back behind me, and I'd go, "Hi, Ken. Hello, Hils." He would go up in the lift. The lift was always held for him. He would go up in the lift. He had to go up there, undress, dress, do his hair. I know that sounds crazy, but do his hair, put the little red dots and the makeup on, the red dots in the eyes, go back down underneath the stage, past the stage underneath, to go round the other side of the stage, to come up, to get in the car, to be pushed on. So I'm telling you all that because of the timing.
Wow.
So you're talking, the overture has started, and he'd walk past me, and I go, every day, I go, he's not going to make it. He won't be there. He won't be there. And I spend the whole number going, he won't be there tonight. Fiver says he won't be there. He won't be there. No way will he be there. And it wasn't until it went, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and we'd all step backwards in time with our arm to the right to welcome him on. He never missed it.
True pro.
I was so,
wow.
oh, just unbelievable. Oh my God, they were happy days. But often we would be sent home, no finale. There's a surprise.
Oh, that's no. Who was a finale at 1:30 a.m. Eh?
Well, I did stay one day for the midnight matinee we were involved in, and there was lots of Blackpool acts on. In fairness, it was an overcrowded show.
Surely Ken Dodd didn't do a midnight matinee, did he? No, he started at midnight. Seriously.
Right. So we started just before midnight, and Ken went on. I can't remember what time he went on, but I stayed to the end. The band put their clothes on and left him during his act. They actually got up and left, and you could see them all stand just in the pit getting anoraks on and stuff. His drummer and his keyboard player stayed, and the rest of the orchestra that we had for the summer show, they all went. They'd just gone, I've had enough. And I was in the wings watching him until he finished at 5:15 in the morning.
No, he'd done a full show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he did a full show. But you see, what happened was that acts really overran. There was acts, I won't mention any names, but I could, but I won't. They were down for 15 minutes and did 45. Well, if everybody does that, you know what I mean? It's just like...
I've put shows on like that, yeah.
But that was a happy dancing show. My best friend and I became best friends during that show, and we're still best friends now. Yeah, and Ken and I were the last people to leave my 21st birthday party. Him and his Lady Anne, now his wife. The 3 of us left at my party together. It was lovely.
So what happened on your 21st? I remember being in Cyprus on my 21st, and I just joined a team out in Cyprus to run the entertainment in a hotel. And but you trained in one hotel, and then we all went out to entertain for the whole season in '96 to do your own thing. And I was event, so I'd do my show once a week. But I remember my 21st birthday party because they give me this biggest cocktail I've ever had, and I drunked the lot. Yeah, I drunked the lot. And I remember being sick just across the road from the club, on the side of the road. But I went back there with Nina. I went back to the same spot, the same club, and I looked. I said to Nina, "This is where I was sick on my 21st birthday,"
Oh, that's romantic, yeah.
and there was there was this beautiful little tree in the place of where I'd hurled, and I think I grew that myself.
All the nutrition and the ecological wishes of your heart went into your sick.
Yeah, literally. I mean, if that tree had little carrots grown on it, I would have thought that's mine.
That's
you know,
so lovely.
Isn't that beautiful? Romantic.
I thought you were going to say that is romantic. I thought you were actually going to say, and we went back. I took Nina back there to show her, and they put a blue plaque there. I thought you were going to say. That's what I was waiting for.
No. Yeah.
So Doddy and I. So that's when I first worked with him, and then we a smattering of gigs with Doddy through the years. But then after Blackpool, the very prestigious Palladium. 2 weeks at the London Palladium in the Ken Dodd show.
Oh, wow.
And that was just insane. And I was old enough to appreciate it.
Yeah, well, you were dancing. You were still dancing then, Hils.
I was still dancing. Yeah, that was the set. That was. I think it was a few months later, a few weeks later. It was the sort of same band of girls with a couple of extras. I think there were 14 of us then. And it was very memorable, really excited. So I actually first played the Palladium when I was 21.
Amazing.
And I've been so thrilled. I played it 7 times altogether. And it's just remarkable every time. You know, you go, oh come on, it's nuts, absolute nuts.
What a memory. Beautiful. I mean, Ken always had a ventriloquist on or a variety act. Do you remember the acts that were there that season?
In that show, gosh, wait. So Rudy Cardenas, juggler, there was a seal act on. We had a guy with seals in the show. There was a bicycle act in the Blackpool show called Lily Yoko.
Yeah, she got it on with John Lennon, didn't she? I think now.
Yeah, they ended up together. It was great. Yeah, John came up and hung out in the wings and watched us. Yeah,
that's nice.
I'm just trying to think. A Bolyodorus act. You know the Bolyodorus. The I'm doing it now, and it's not really helping your listeners at all. It's those Bolyodorus. The things that, how do you describe it? On string, hard balls. No, so wrong.
Hard balls on the string. Oh.
Hard balls on string that hit the floor with precision and syncopation, and it's like a percussion instrument, but highly dangerous and could bruise your shins if you get it wrong. And they were amazing. They were a family act, and they were like Mexican kind of, just beautiful. Can't remember who else.
Amazing. So it was a full variety show. I mean, even though Ken didn't need acts, he didn't need support acts, did he? Because it just added another hour to a 5-hour show. But what incredible memory there.
He loved variety. I'm not speaking for him. He just did. He championed variety. He loved talent, and he was terribly loyal as well. He used that over and over, as you say, you know, friends of ours in the past, you know, that got loads and loads of stuff. Now, the lovely Simmons brothers, of course, they worked with Ken loads and loads of times. I worked with them once. I think we did a radio show together with Ken. Oh gosh, so many memories. One of my favourite bumping intos with Ken was two stories. We organised a big variety party fairly recently. We called it the Encore event, and it was in Blackpool. And I had this notion, it was just about people getting together. We were all sort of seeing each other at funerals, and I said, this has got to stop. As in, why don't we just get together? Because why not? And why do we have to always meet on such a sad occasion and then see all the people you love and generally get on with?
Isn't it?
Anyway, out of that, it was actually after losing Bernie Nolan. That's what did it. My best friend, who I just mentioned, Natalie, who did Ken Dodd with me, we drove home and I said, can we not just try and organise an event? We did. We sold 450 tickets to the Viva Show Bar in Blackpool, and I asked Ken directly if he would be our special guest, and it was perfect timing because he was also his 60th year in the business.
Wow, amazing.
So we had Ken and Annie as our guests. I did a speech, all 4 of us, there were 4 of us that organised it, and we had some great people there, thanks to Nick Thomas, who got some real good names like Little and Large. Russ Abbott came, you know, the Crankies were there. I was just, and on and on. It was just glorious. And I said, Ken, would you mind? I just looked at him on the front table. I said, would you mind coming up to say a few words? And of course, the audience laughed.
Yeah. A few.
And then he got up on stage. He just looked at me and he had the microphone. He said, Miss Hilary. He said, Miss Fix It. He said, you want me to say a few words? And of course, it brought the house down. But he actually, in fairness, did probably 8 minutes of beautiful, nostalgic chat about the theatres in Blackpool. And, you know, I didn't realise quite how many there had been along that coast right the way along. So he did us proud. He was
Oh, amazing.
champion.
Oh, that's lovely. I remember the first time I worked for him, and Anne said, go and see Ken, your check is in the dressing room. She did say to me before I went on, 25, 30 minutes, just do that. I went on, I'd done about 33, 35 minutes, and I came off, and Anne said, just stick to your time, just do your 25, 30 minutes. And I nearly broke my heart. And oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realise I'd gone over. I went into the dressing room. Anne said, Ken's waiting to sign your check in the dressing room. So he sat there in his little vest, you know, having a beer.
Yeah.
And then he's signing the check to me. How much was it? He always tried to get it a bit lower than what we'd agreed. You know, but
like you forget your fee, yeah.
Yeah, but you'd do it for nothing, wouldn't you? Because it was Ken. But you need your petrol home, though. I really wanted to apologise to him for going over, and I said, Ken, I'm so sorry. It was my first night. I thought I'd never be back. I'm so sorry that I went over a little bit tonight. I'd done like 5 minutes too much. And he said, you're apologising to me, Ken Dodd, for going over. so it was a similar little story as what he told you. You know, it was like
adorable.
Yeah, I'll never forget that first one.
Just one more. I mean, obviously, the whole interview isn't about Ken Dodd, I know, but I just have such reverence for the man. Just one more quick thing.
It's still going on, and he's not here.
Oh, I know. But I did a pantomime in Bradford a few years ago with Billy Pearce, and as I was leaving the stage door, I'm always first in, last out of the theatre. It's just the way I am. So, but taking my eyelashes off, etc. Anyway, I got to the stage door, and the stage door girl was just talking to a member of the crew in the doorway, and she said, "Oh, God, can you believe Ken's only just gone on?" And it was something like 10:15 or something at night. And I went, "Sorry, Barbara, what? Ken?" She said, "Yeah, Ken Dodd's over the road at the St George's Hall. I was at the Alhambra." And I went, "Ken's here tonight." He said, "Oh my God!" Well, I ran in thick snow in Uggs, not easy, and I ran like I've never run before. Running the stage door, they recognised. They said, "What are you doing here?" I went, "Oh, Ken, is Annie around? Can you get Annie?" Yeah, sure. So I rang Annie. Annie came down, took one look, I went, "Oh, Hils, come with me." She dragged me. She said, "Ken's only just gone on." This was for his main spot. 10:15. The show had started at 7:30.
Wow.
I know. She got a chair. She put me in the wings, the front portal, you know, and she said, "Stay there. I'll come and get you later." So I watched this genius, and of course so much of it was known to me because of knowing he's got the set routines, and it brought a lump to my throat because of the Opera House Blackpool season and my memories and everything. He also did stuff that I'd never heard before, so brilliant, so new. He absolutely ripped the place apart. I cried, I laughed, and he stood him up, obviously, the curtain shut, and he went on stage and said, "Ken, look who's here." And he looked over at me and he went, "Hils!" And he went, "Oh, come with me. And he took me down to the dressing room and he said, "Do you want a beer?" Now, I don't drink beer, but I'm not going to refuse a beer from Ken Dodd. So I said, "Yes, please." So we did the little wrinkle thing, you know, and he put a beer in front of me and we sat there for 2 hours.
Wow.
He didn't move from, like, my eye line. He made me feel like I was all that mattered. And Annie was lovely because she kept coming in and out. She was dealing with fans and things for him to sign and packing his suits and props away and stuff. And she just left us to chat. And the thing I treasure most about it, apart from him saying who he rated in the business and who he liked and who he didn't like, and, you know, I was working with Billy Pearce at the time, and he absolutely adored Billy's energy and everything about him. And it was lovely to share that with him. He wanted to know about me. He wanted to know how, with me being away on the ships all the time, how that affects Alan, my boyfriend, and how he copes and how I cope, and my mom, and how's my mom, and how's Alan coping with work. And it was stuff that you wouldn't dream that he would even be really that bothered about, but that showed you how lovely the man was.
Yeah.
Total normal chat. We chatted showbiz and we chatted, you know, non-showbiz.
Life. Yeah, normal. It just shows how normal he was as a human. He made us all feel welcome, you know, and that the beauty of the man inside. He was just so good to us younger acts growing up, you know, and he cared, didn't he? Care about the business so much, the people.
So desperately. Yeah, really cared about it. Anyways, he's in my heart, and I'm embarrassed to say that every day I stare at a bottle of champagne, hear me out, that's on the patio, hear me out again. He gave me a bottle of champagne for my 21st, which he signed to me on the label. And stupidly, because I was 21 and not the age I am now, it was put in an ottoman in our extension for years because it's just where it ended up. And the label faded and got spoilt, and you can only just make out what he's written on it now. And it was just put on the patio the other day. Actually, I just went, I can't throw this away, but what the hell am I going to do with it? It's just a bottle of, it'll be probably vile anyway, but it's because it was from him and because he signed the label. I just can't part with it, and it's all you can't even read it.
I completely understand that, but you know it's there. You know what it means to you.
But it makes me smile. I just think, oh, that's lovely. He bought me perfume and a bottle of champagne and something else. It was really nice.
Yeah, it means so much to so many people. But when he signed me that first check, you know, I nearly kept the check and framed it, and I thought, no, I really need the money to get to the next Ken Dodd gig. So I photocopied it. I've got a photocopy check from Ken. Yeah, one of the first ones.
That's genius to think about that. What a clever thing to do. I remember a friend of mine, his dad used to write for, well, you know Paul Adams. Of course you know Paul Adams.
I love Paul, yeah. Brilliant.
Paul Adams. I know that there's a fantastic heirloom story where his dad, the very brilliant late Charlie Adams, fantastic scriptwriter, one of the best ever, wrote for Bob Hope. And Bob Hope sent a cheque to pay for Charlie, and he didn't bank it.
He didn't.
Because he couldn't go apart with it. But actually what happened, he did bank it, and they gave him a copy of it. And then his mum, Paul's mum, framed it and gave it to Paul as a gift. And I just thought that was absolutely beautiful. I hope Paul won't mind me relaying the story, but what a gorgeous thing to do. It's just so heartwarming, those things, aren't they?
It's amazing. I love that. I really do love that.
Yeah.
Hilary, you went into Stutz Bearcats as well, and I worked with a few people from there. Chris.
Yeah.
Chris Hennon and Jane Beaumont I worked with on the ship, actually.
Yeah, of course. Oh, she's beautiful. Still one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. She's so lovely. Jane, Chris, and Mick and I were the originals. We were the founder members of Stutz Bearcats, so I was the original. And I left the group unexpectedly. I just wasn't happy in the group, and that's when I got offered the Ken Dodd season in Blackpool.
Oh, amazing.
So I went from a singing group, vocal harmony group, back. I went backwards, but I didn't want any responsibility at the time. I was happy. Miss Lane said to me, Betty Lane said, you know, are you sure you want to go back to dancing again? I went, yeah, honestly, I just want to have a lovely time and not worry about anything. The group was insanely talented.
Yeah.
The harmonies are still, or if they were working, they would still be insane because they were the best. And loads of ex-Stutz now out there, lovely. I'm in touch with quite a few of them. I saw Chris the other day. Actually, we had a right old catch up. It was really nice.
I done a season with Chris in 2004 at the Hippodrome in Eastbourne, and Nina was in the show as well. Yeah, so Nina was dancing. So we choreographed my wife. It's a small world. But so when did you transition from dancing to the Hilary O Neil that we know? And when did you start doing the impressions?
So the impressions started when I was 2.5. I did Still a Black on the Potty singing You're My World. Wow. That was the first one.
I love that.
With emphasis on the world. Then I did my teachers at school, and I used to make the girls laugh in the dressing room when I was a dancer. There was always some mimicry involved, you know, in that. And
so it's always been there then.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And then this need to watch other acts was always there. I was a dancer. I was a mate of the girls, always a girly girl in the dressing room, mucking about, making up stories, But when the acts were on, you wouldn't have me in the dressing room. I'd be in the wings. I'm still the same. I love it. I love watching. I love learning, appreciating talent. My favourite thing ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm still of that mindset now. Obviously learned so much watching Marty back then as well. So then I became sort of singer-dancer, which is an old-fashioned variety term they use as a soubrette.
Okay.
So I was... I did an interview the other day for a podcast. These lovely guys interviewed me, and they didn't quite catch what I meant, because I said, well, I was a soubrette, which is an old-fashioned variety term for a singer-dancer. And when it came up on the internet, it said, formerly known as soubrette, as in Suebrett, but now known as Hilary O Neil. I went, oh, bless her heart. Didn't quite catch what I meant. Soubrette as in Suebrette. Anyway, so I did lovely seasons at Butlins. My teeth, what do they say? How do you say it? Teeth were...
Not yours?
Mine.
They were... your teeth were broken. Your teeth were...
I don't know how to say it. I've started a sentence and it's the wrong sentence. I know I'm up a cold.
No, you wrote.
Cut my teeth. No,
cut your teeth into.
Cut my teeth. I cut my teeth in the legendary long Butlin summer season. So
Wow.
that was where I really learned my craft. Sketches, harmonies, lyrics.
So
songs,
was you a red
dances.
coat? Was you a red coat? They're all
No.
You're doing.
It was a full production cast.
Oh wow.
23 weeks. Butler's Minehead
Just touring.
was the first really long season. I just stayed there. That was it. 23 weeks.
Oh, amazing.
That was where I really learned my craft. I was working with Gordon and Bunny J.
Oh wow.
And those gentlemen they're just the masters. They could do the soft shoe shuffles, they could do the song and dance, they could do sketches and the comedy and the character stuff, and just hardworking, great guys. I admired them greatly. So I did about 3 or 4 summer seasons, and pantomime's always playing boy, up till then playing a bit of girl, and then playing baddies, etc. And the transition into comedy came really 84, when I was in a summer season with Bernie Clifton and Janet Brown, the impressionist.
Wow.
I was with them in Isle of Wight, and I had 4 Sunday concerts given to me. One was with Lenny Bennett, one was with the Great Soprendo, one was with, Martin Daniels, and the other one was with Paul Shane. No, it was the first one was Frankie Howard.
Really?
I was in this show with Frankie Howard, and I'd phoned up the producer. It was Nick Thomas and John Conway at the time. I worked for a lot. This is pre-Kudos days, of course. And I just said, would you mind if I tried out some comedy in my little spot in the show? I had 3 numbers to just do in a little spot, that's all. And they said, yeah, sure. I mean, what producer just goes, yeah, not even... What do you mean, try some comedy? Can you run it by us, or can we see what you intended? Yeah, sure.
It sounds like they trusted you.
Maybe. And I didn't even know really what I was going to do. I didn't even practice it at home. My mum didn't even know what I was going to do. And I went down to this Frankie Howard show, and I did my spot, and in between the songs, I just threw Gladys Pugh, Jimmy Cricket, Prince Charles, Roland Rat, can't even remember, Sybil Fawlty, who I still do. Oh, no, Basil. Yeah, I just threw it in, and it went all right. And then I did a couple of clubs. I did a couple of summer seasons with bigger spots, where they would let me do longer. I did 12 minutes with comedy and impressions. And then I did a talent show that got me a spot on a television show years ago. Can't even remember what it was called. The Fame Game. Oh, that came to me fast. The Fame Game.
Wow.
And then I got Copycats very soon after that. 86, 87, I got Copycats by auditioning. Got seen in a nightclub in an audience, not on stage, by somebody who walked past me and just recognised me from doing impressions. And I got a phone call the next day saying, will you come and audition for Copycats?
Amazing. So that happened quite quickly then, from starting impressions to Copycats. There was quite a few names, weren't there? In there was Dave Evans. Was Dave Evans on?
Great names. No. So there was Go For It. There was Copycat 1. And then Copycats 2 and Series 3. I did Series 2 and 3. Right. So my team were Bobby Davro, Alan Stewart, Aidan J. Harvey, Mike Osman, Mark Walker, Cheryl Taylor.
Okay.
And the second series was Alan and Aidan. Yeah, we lost Bobby to do his own TV show. And then we kind of all went up a stool, if you know what I mean. It just kind of all went like that. And then Pauline Hanna was the lady who did the impressions that year with me as the girls on the team. And they were the happiest, most incredible days of London weekend television at its super shiny, sparkly best.
Yeah, good years. Good years back then for variety and comedy. And
it's like no expense spared type of vibe, which is quite extraordinary. The wigs that were made by Wig Specialities were astounding. And then were a fortune just for the wig for a sketch for me to be Sybil Fawlty. But my God, it was a transformation.
Well, she had a great wig, didn't she? I mean, did she have a wig, or was that her real hair time?
Oh, I don't know what Nella Scales did. They made back home to her own hair. Forgive me, I absolutely don't know. But what they made me for that show was astounding. I'll show you a picture one day because it's really oh my God. Yeah, it's really, really. Even I say I look so like her. So that was an absolute joy, and then all the TV shows started from.
Yeah, I got a few here. Summertime specials, Copycats, Little and Large Show, Raw Varieties. Didn't you play Gracie Field on a Raw Variety? Was it?
Yes, I did Gracie Fields, and it wasn't my greatest impression at all. I'll say that now. In fact, I think Jack Tinker wrote in the Daily Mail that it was more like Vera Lynn than Gracie. But I don't mind. Jack Tinker wrote about me in the Daily Mail. I was delighted. But the thrill of being asked, Steve. I mean, the thrill of being. We were doing a beautiful scenario.
It was a tribute, wasn't it?
Ghosts. It was Ghosts of the Palladium.
Yeah.
So we have Gary Wilmot, Anna Stewart, Jessica Martin, who I adore, played Judy Garland. I played Gracie Fields. We had Peter Goodright. Trying to think who else was on it. Oh, forgive me, I can't remember. And yes, it was a beautiful section. Started off by Anthony Newley, and it was real class. It was.
I was working in Thursford, and the lovely Ken Joy. We just lost Ken Joy at the Water Rats. Yeah, and he was the curator of the Water Rats Museum, and he lent me loads of VHS. He said, "Have a look through here. You may see ventriloquists." And I was at Thursford, so when I finished the show, I'd come home. I'd watch a Royal Variety performance after I'd been on stage, and I watched one, and you came on. It was doing Gracie Fields, and I saw that very tribute that you're talking about now. It was brilliant. So nicely put together.
I think it was 87, Steve, 1987.
Great TV shows, and I think the variety shows in the 1980s were probably where they were at their best, weren't they? I mean, the 70s were great, but I think 80s was good for Top of the Pops, but it was good for variety shows as well. We had Davro, we had Copycat.
It really was. All the sort of prime time, all those stuff were glitzy and alive from the Palladiums and what I call the light bulbs around the cross arch look. It was all, after that summer seasons, sort of stole the idea to look like the LWT sets,
Yeah,
it was
summertime specials.
It was absolutely stunning, and I was so fortunate to be on the back end of light end telly-wise before it went all reality. But one of my favourite memories ever of my entire 42 years was one day, which was really, and I'm not saying this isn't big-headed, it's just a glorious thing to share how things can be. So I was recording the Jim Davison comedy package at Thames Television. So I'm already having a lovely time. I'm at Thames, I'm with Jim, I'm with Aidan J. Harvey, and we're having hysterics rehearsing the sketches. And Brian Penders, who was the producer of Des O'Connor, walked into the studio, and Jim went, "Oh, hello, Brian." And he said, "Hello," and I knew who he was, obviously, God. He said, "Hilary, I've come to see Hilary." And I went, "Really?" He said, "I want you on Des's show next week." All right. So my whole tummy and heart flipped. Can you imagine? It was the Des O'Connor show, Des O'Connor Tonight.
That was the show, was it? Des O'Connor Tonight was the one that we all tuned into. We had the biggest stars in the world, but the best comedy. Freddie Starr.
Well,
yeah, everyone was
absolutely. All those memorable moments. Bradley also scoring massively high on it. It was just great. So I couldn't be on a higher level of. I was just so excited. I get home, so I've rehearsed with Jim, so I'm already doing that show that week. I've been asked to do Des, and I'm like telling mum and dad and going, "Oh my God, this is like, I can't believe it. What am I going to wear? What am I going to do? I can do a song and an interview." And I was thinking it all through. The phone went, and it was David Bell, who, those that don't know, was, of course, head of light entertainment at London Weekend Television, ITV basically, and he said, "I'd like you to do the Royal Variety." And that's the day that I was asked to do it. And that was where the Gracie Fields thing came about. He said, "I want you to do Gracie Fields for me." And I don't think I can beat that. I think that was one of the loveliest days ever with those three things, because we have nice moments. That was a treasure.
You don't get those phone calls anymore, do you? I dreamt of a Royal Variety Show phone call from my manager, but I've never had a manager that could call me and say you've got that, or a manager that would push me to do that. And I know that one day, you're managing a young man, and I know that he will get the call because I believe in you as a manager, because you're just the most incredible performer. You've been there, you know what worked, and we will get onto the young Max I'm talking about, but I know that it means so much to get that phone call. So back then in the 80s, when you got the calls to do Des O'Connor and the Royal Variety, the feelings just must have been incredible. You don't even get emails like that these days. I mean, you don't get phone calls, but
I don't think I've got anything to match it. I think maybe one email was nice once when I did one cruise ship. I was only booked for one show, and then the next day had something like 26 offers of cruises for that, and they had absolutely delightful. I was drenched in it. I was so thrilled. I didn't do them. Please don't. I didn't do them all because I thought, I don't want to work just for you. I want to work for other lines,
Yeah,
so I took 11, but it was still great. Oh, what a gorgeous email.
You remember how many? I love that. Just 11. That's my max.
Yeah, just 11. I don't want to do 26, thanks. That's fine.
Wow.
Very memorable, happy, exhilarating moments. Do you know what? I still get, even after all these years, I still get a buzz when my manager, Chris Davis, who's looked after me for many years, phones me and tells me what panto I've been offered.
Oh, that's nice. That's always a nice feeling, getting that email.
I mean, I can't do panto at the moment because my mum's not well, so I won't be working. But it's just the gorgeous feeling of the excitement, isn't it? Setting up and
yeah. Who are you going to play? Where are you going to be? Who are you going to be with? There's like 3 or 4 different surprises, isn't there? What dressing room you're in? Do you know what I mean? There's some lovely.
Yeah, it's a jamboree bag of happiness. It's like, who do I know in the town? Will they know of any digs? Will I get a flat? Have I got friends I could stay with?
It's exciting.
Can I park the car? Yeah. What's my billing like?
I know.
Yeah, those treasured moments.
Yeah.
Are you recording?
You don't get it often. No, I tell you, the last time I got it was when I got the email last summer to do Thursford again. Well, I'd done it for 3 years, but when they asked me to host Thursford and say, Steve, we would like you to come back, and it was when I was ready, because I'd done a couple of years with the Osmonds, and I thought, okay, I might come back to panto, and then I thought, but I want to do another variety show. I don't want to do panto just yet. I'm ready to go back to panto in the next few years, but if only there was another variety show, and I was ready to go back 10 years after I left Thursford to host it. So that was a great feeling. But I think one of the biggest emails I got that made me go, wow, was Strictly Come Dancing, when they asked me to come on Strictly. And then I had to tell Nina that it wasn't as a dancer, it was just to read out the phone numbers. Just to read the phone numbers with a puppet.
I know, that was fantastic though. I just squealed. I screamed when you came through the slash curtain.
Slash curtain, I like that. So but you don't get those feelings anymore. And I, just from my heart, and you know this, I hope you are the one to tell Max he's got the Royal. Max deserves that. That's.
It would be great, and I did speak to Kevin Bishop, who's directed probably 10 Royals, maybe 10, maybe it was 8, I don't know. But he's a lot of Royal Varieties he's directed, and he said to me if I was still directing them, he'd be on. But he has to be ready.
Yes.
There's such a chance and a phenomenal moment. It cannot be half guessed, and that'll do. It's just got to be so properly in place, and he needs the experience of coping with such a massive event, because I'd want him to enjoy it and have an absolute ball and come off and burst into tears if he wants to say, I loved it, oh my god, I loved it. Fine, but I would be the one that not being so, oh my god, it'd be like watching a child.
I know, but you're building him up perfectly. I mean, he done Crackerjack. You got him Crackerjack, and
he did. And he's contracted for the second series.
Brilliant.
So that's fabulous. That hopefully will come back. I think TV will come back probably September. Maybe not audience based. That's the only thing that's gonna. TV shows will start being made, and he's got a couple of things lined up already.
Brilliant.
So So we'll see.
Yeah. So you've worked with most of the comedy names in the business. Richard Digance, Brian Connolly, Bobby Daffro, Freddie Starr, Joe Pasquale. You probably do all their voices as well. So, but did you learn a lot from working?
I did do a bit of Joe Pasquale for you, because I loved her. I talk like Joe, and it's really weird sometimes because she phones me, he goes hello, and I go hello. Mm-hmm. Oh yes, you're going for it now, aren't you? Oh yeah, I love it, and I love him. He's a great mate. So it's
a lovely
fantastic.
Man, great man. We love Joe.
Yes, he's great. No, I had fantastic experiences with all of them for different reasons. I was a fan of some of them and not all. I had to put Joe Longthorne in the mix as well, if you don't mind me.
Joe was incredible. I worked with Joe once, but he was incredible, wasn't he? Such a sad loss. too early again.
Yeah, massive loss, but just a dream, and what a talent. Now that's, I said to you about watching People in the Wings. When I did my season with him in '91 in Scarborough with Jeff Stevenson and Dana,
Wow.
Pavlov's puppets, yeah.
Mm.
I went up to the back of the dress circle every single night for the entire summer season. I didn't want to miss 1 moment of watching Joe Longthorne come out and storm it. And what can I say?
Yeah, I know. In '94, I worked at the London Palladium, and I always stayed on the Sunday. They give you a choice if you want to work the Sunday shows, because Oliver was playing. Oliver, Jonathan Price, Sally Dexter, and I watched all the Sunday concerts. Lee Evans was there one weekend, and Frank Skinner. But Joe Longthorne was there on a Sunday, and I watched Joe Longthorne from the Wings at the Palladium, and it just blew me away with his band, and incredible, just incredible. And I only supported him once in Weymouth, but wasn't he a talent?
Yeah, and I really liked him as well. He and I got on super well. Richard Digent, so clever, brilliant brain. A one-off, did his TV show for London Weekend as well. I toured with him. Jim, I did so much work with for 2 years. I was summer season. I did Panto with him. I was his Cinderella. He was my Buttons. 2 tours. The UK, TV, everything.
Wow.
Absolutely played him. I did so much with Jim. Freddie Starr I did a few dates with. He went strange one night.
One night?
I said good night. No, I know, it was just weird. So it was all fine. And then one night I just was driving back to London. I can't remember why, but I had to go back. Maybe it was an audition or something. And said good night to who was in the corridor. Flew off in the car. Came back the next day. Walked into the dressing room to see Jeff Stevenson, my lovely mate. And I just said, had a good day? And he said, no, not really. And I went, oh, God, were you right, mate? He went, no. I said, Freddie's been in such a mood. And I said, what's up? He said, he's just in a mood because you didn't say goodnight to him last night. I went, oh, you're kidding me. So anyway, in walks his manager and says to me, go down to Freddie's room. And I had to go down there, knock on the door and say, I understand you want to see me. I went, sit down. And he went and did this monologue of absolutely nothing. Can't even tell you anything he said, except he said, when I was young, my dad said to me, I'll put you on the table and you jump and I'll catch you. And I said to him, Dad, but what if you don't catch me? He said, I will catch you. He said, and I jumped and he didn't catch me. And I said, I'm really sorry, Freddie. I've got to get ready for your show. What's this got to do with me? And he went, you didn't say goodnight to me last night. I went, you're absolutely right. I didn't. I do apologise. I'm so sorry. It won't happen again. And he went, okay. And I said, I've got to go now. He said, okay, see you later. And he took 7 of them 10 musicians off the stage as punishment. So I did my show in front of 3 musicians instead of 10. And I thought, really? Really?
Wow.
Oh. And yeah, he watched me in the Wings. He watched me do my show, and it came up, and he was clapping, and he gave me a big hug. And he said, I've got a line for you for an impression I was doing at the time. And I graciously, listened to what he had to say. But, why play games like, what was that about? Oh, that wasn't so great.
That's strange. No.
But then when he did his TV series, he wanted me all the time to do all the sketches with him.
Oh,
so I did a couple of series with him at Carlton TV.
Yeah.
And,
but you say goodnight.
He asked for me all the time, which was lovely. So that was fun.
You were described in the stage as being freshness, timing, and presentation. That's lovely. What 3 words would you describe yourself as if it wasn't those 3?
Gosh, I need a week to think about that, because if you say anything too grand, it sounds like you're big-headed. So if I was selling myself, you mean? It was like what I would say.
You sell yourself.
I think likeable.
Yeah, lovable. Yeah, I'll change that. I'll update that bit.
But no, because people have said, you're likeable to watch work. That's one thing that I think it's just me as me. Trying to be yourself is important.
Yeah.
Not trying. Being yourself is important. So I think likeable. I don't know, Steve. I really can't do it. It's like weird when he starts me about me. I go a bit like, a bit shy. Don't know. A bit daft, I suppose. Daft, likeable, and very blingy. There you go, blingy.
Bling is good. Your dresses and your bling. That's nice.
Yes.
What's your favourite impression to do? Because I know that you do Margaret Thatcher, Cleo Lane, Joan Rivers, Cilla Black, Dame Edna.
I've not done that many new ones recently. I I did your Cheryl Cole, you know, when she was on X Factor.
Oh, okay.
Because, you know, you should be in the final and all that stuff. I used to love doing Cheryl. Pasquale is my absolute favourite because I could just talk like him all day. It's no effort, you know what I mean, still? I could just go in and out of it. Oh, yeah, that's right. So that Sybil still gets one of the best laughs on the ship in my act, without doubt.
It's amazing how
massive
massive that show was, Fawlty Towers.
But yeah, Fawlty Towers, genius casting,
amazing.
Genius writing, and so clever to pull it after 12. Brilliant, because you just go, oh, I'm not over it. What?
Yeah,
finished?
Genius. You're waiting for the second series, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. So Sybil Fawlty would be one of mine. You know, like my husband Basil and I. My husband Basil and I, we both reached sexual compatibility last night. Yes, we both had a headache at the same time. So there's just little impressions like that I love. And I have to say, it's terribly dated now, and I admit it. But you know what?
But then Fawlty Towers isn't, though, is it? It's never ending.
Well, I was just going to say, there's another impression that I do, and it's my absolute go-to, and I do it very near the end of the act because the material I do with it is strong, and that's Dame Edna. And you go, wow. Oh, Hils, really? Why aren't you doing, Davina McCall or whatever, or Tess? I've done Tess Daly and pantomime and stuff like that, and Claudia. But on the ships, the demographic of our audiences, Steve, you'll back me up on this.
The Dame Edna.
They're an older-ish audience.
Yeah,
and
they want fools and horses.
Australians on
as well. They want it.
So it hits the sweet spot when I go, hello, possums! The roar from the Brits that know her, the Americans a bit,
and the Australians,
the Aussies absolutely can't believe their luck, So dated but still works. That's my. If
it's not broke, you've done a lot of theatre stage productions as well, haven't you? Like Summer Holiday, Shout. Is that about Lulu?
The number was in the show. Shout was about how do I describe it?
It's a 60s kind of.
Yeah, a 60s musical. One of the most gorgeous jobs I've ever done in London, and still best friends with all the girls. 5 of us did it, and with a band, and it was links of adverts of the day. There was a link of a story with all of us had identities: Miss Green, Miss Yellow, Miss. We were colours, and the old, bouffant 60s hair and the makeup and everything, and it, songs from Burt Bacharach, Hal David, Tony Hatch. Just I couldn't live without your love. That was one of my numbers. Goldfinger. 24 Hours from Tulsa. I mean, just some unbelievable numbers. And Summer Holiday was with Darren Day for the year on tour, UK tour, playing the tyrant mother. And then we went back to Blackpool. It had already played Blackpool. I replaced Faith Brown was in it, and I replaced her for a year. Then we went back to Blackpool, and my daughter was played by Isla Fisher. Whatever happened to her? Married to Barrett Cohen.
I know, Ali G. In 1995, I was working at Blackpool Tower. Tell me you wasn't in Summer Holiday 95. Oh, okay. You did tell me that.
That was Ross King and Faith Brown. So I took over when the show happened again for the year. So we did like Oxford, Birmingham, Bristol, West End and all that.
Okay.
And then we went back to Blackpool the summer after, and that was my partner then in crime was the beautiful Peter Baldwin, who played Derek in Coronation Street.
Okay, yeah, lovely guy, yeah.
And he and I remained the closest friends up to the end of his life. Beautiful man. Pollux, he owned Pollux toy shop in in Covent Garden.
Oh, okay.
Him and his brother.
Mr. Baldwin,
toy theatre shop. Yeah.
Okay. I saw Summer Holiday 95 in Blackpool. It was Isla Fisher, Darren Day. But I was just thinking, I've got the programme, so I'm just thinking...
Hang on, Steve, it was me then, because it was Isla Fisher, but it wasn't 95, sweetheart. I'm pretty sure it's 90... Do you know what? I don't even know.
I've got the programme. I'll find it.
Ooh, confidentiality.
Acorn Antiques. You must have had the most incredible time, and you did, you worked with Victoria Wood to get the show, and incredible story how you got it, I remember.
There is an amazing story. There's a lot of bullet points, but a quick rushed version is I bumped into Victoria on the street with my friend Bonnie Langford, and Bonnie said, "Oh, you know Hils?" She said, "Oh yeah, I know Hils. How are you?" She said to me, "Oh, Hils, you're doing a workshop of Acorn Antiques," because Bonnie's husband at the time, Paul, was going to be in it. She said, yeah, I have actually. So we met up with Paul. He was just along the street waiting in the car for us to drive us home after a night out in London. And Victoria just stood there, and Bonnie said, Hils does the most amazing Mrs. Overall. Anyway, she made me do it in the street, 11:15 at night, outside the Drury Lane Theatre stage door. She made me do Mrs. Overall. And Victoria was very lovely and laughed heartily. And I just, said something like, slice those macaroons finally, or somebody might choke to death. And anyway, that was that. And we were in the car, and I said, I need to capitalise on this. I need to be seen. Because if this is I want to understudy Julie Walters. I know Julie's doing it. I'm not asking for any big roles. I want to understudy Julie.
Wow.
And so he gave me Trevor Nunn's address, because he was working for him at the time. And I wrote to Trevor Nunn. I also wrote to Victoria. I said, thanks, that was so lovely bumping into you. And if ever you need a cover for Julie, please give me a shout, at least the audition, to be seen. She wrote back and said, it's not up to me, but absolutely, if there's an opportunity to push you, I will. And it's just a limited run because Julie's got TV film commitments. Lots of love. Great to see you too. That was it. Anyway, wrote to Trevor, heard nothing. Found out eventually who the casting agent was, got an audition through my agent, went along to the audition. Trevor Nunn, musical director, Victoria, went in, tapped, sang, made them laugh. 5 weeks later, I found out I got the job. Long wait, long, excruciating wait.
Wow.
And I became part of the West End show Acorn Antiques. And then during rehearsals, Trevor asked me to understudy Celia Imrie as well. So I had my own track in the show. I understudied 4 other character roles, plus Celia, plus Julie. It was too much. It was just, I would never agree to understudy anyone ever again as long as I live.
The pressure must be. Yeah.
Cannot tell you, because the disappointment if she'd been off, can you imagine? Victoria played her on a Monday. So Victoria played Mrs. Overall on a Monday, and there was one day when Victoria said to me, she pulled me to one side and she said, Julie's not well, not really well, and I'm not going to be here. I'm in the Lake District. I've got commitments. I'm not going to be here. So if she's off, you're on. And that was nature's greatest laxative, really. And so I just buckled down and had a look at it. And she was never off. It was fine. I never went on, but I have never to this day seen an audience fold in half for 2.5 hours. And I mean 2.5 hours. Often an act can come on like really hard hitting and have you paralysed laughing. And then you kind of even out, don't you, with laughs, and then a big little laugh, and then maybe a big end finish.
Just up and down,
This was continuous. Oh my God, it was so special, Steve. To be part of that, I still can't believe it. And on YouTube, you can see the making of Acorn Antiques 1 and 2, the documentary that was filmed.
Really? So
and they've given me a lovely bit in it. Beautiful bit
nice.
with Victoria. Oh my God,
I will watch
Victoria's
that.
so lovely to me.
I'll catch up with Nina. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, it was so lovely to be part of. Can't believe it. And I became friends with Victoria through that. Really good friends. Stayed with her at their house, and she came down to see me in Santa Claus the Musical in Southampton. She came to Blackpool. We went to Blackpool together because she was researching for possibly writing an End of the Pier type comedy. And she said, can I come? Because I said to her one day, I'm going to Blackpool next week. She went, oh, can I come? I went, yeah, if you want. A bit weird, She said, well, it'd be nice to show. I need to go to Blackpool. I need to do some research. I said, well, I'll set everything up for you. So I made an appointment at the Tower Circus and got Lutzi Andress to show us around the whole circus, and we saw the show. I organised her to see Funny Girls, several shows while we were up there. It was really fantastic.
Incredible. Wow.
Victoria, it was great. She's genius.
Yeah, I worked one night with the Wilton's Music Hall, and Roy Hudd. I think it was 60 years of Roy Hudd's music hall celebrations. And Victoria was opening the show. And I was standing in the wings with Victoria, just thinking, I just want to give you a hug. Yeah, just to be in the wings with Victoria, just me and her, was like, wow. I had to follow her. Yeah, but she was just talking for 10 minutes. But what a woman.
What a thrill, Steve. What a thrill, because, to be a fan of somebody and be that close to them, and you watch them really close at hand like that, like I did with Ken Dodd, even in the wings, even though I'd worked with him.
Yeah.
Even sat in that wing with just a chair. The next person in my sight was Ken. It's like when you're in the wings watching somebody you respect. It's like there's so many of those sort of moments in TVs and films where you see the child looking at the mother in the wings. They're magical, aren't they, those moments?
That was brilliant. Charlie Chaplin, watching his mum. I toured with Ken for about 3 years, and I'm so proud that I had that moment of him
Oh, wow.
watching me a few times in the wings. You know,
Oh,
yeah, I know what you mean. It's incredible, that feeling. You have a great eye for talent and for comedy and comedy talent. And when I tell people about Max Fulham, I normally start it with, I wish I was discovered by his manager when I was his age, because you got to be the best manager for Max. When I saw him when he was 14 years old, and I wish I let you know about him then. But I think it's the right time. When you saw him, it was the perfect time to see him, because those 6 years, how amazing he was when he was 14. I mean, I knew I was going to see him again. And I think you
yeah.
grabbed him at the right time. Can you just tell us how you saw him in the wings and what you saw in Max at that time?
So I introduced him on a charity show in Brighton, and it was a packed Theatre Royal. And I said to the producer in the day, "Who's this Max Fulham?" And he said, "Oh, he's a kid that I've given a bit of a chance to." I said, "What's he done?" Well, he said, "Nothing." I went, "Sorry?" He said, "Well, he's never been in a theatre in his life. He's never done anything like this." I said, "Well, how did you find him?" He said, "Well, I saw his videos on YouTube. He's been with the puppets, doing bits and pieces." I said, "Okay, fair enough." Met Max, absolutely fell in love with him straight away. Just thought, what a delightful, beautiful boy. He was 17, and he sort of came up to me quite a bit that day. I think I was his go-to. Like, where do I go now? And I said, "Don't worry, follow me. Where's my microphone? Don't worry, I'll sort it. And do I need makeup?" And I absolutely thought, oh, what a lovely boy. And when I went out, I told the audience, I just said the truth. I said, "Listen, we've got something really special now. This is the first time this lad has ever set foot on a stage. He's 17 years old. We've got to give him the biggest love for Brighton right now and raise the roof before he even starts because this is so special." Walked into the wings. He came on with his battered case, got the puppet out, and I just watched this magic moment. I watched him paralyze the audience and anyone else who was in the wings. And it was a prolific little moment in my little life, because I just thought, okay, I'm a comedian, I work, I'm away a lot, but I can't have anyone else have anything to do with him. He's mine. I just went, he's mine. And in my head, so Max and I kept in touch, just Facebook, and just phoned him and said, "How you doing?" And it was all just like that. I was going back to do a summer season in Bognor, a summer season. It's a lovely week of variety show for about a week down there. And I'd done one with Paul Zenon, and they'd asked me back, and it was with Joe Pasquale. And I just rang the producer and I said, "Hazel, would you trust me on something?" And she said, "Absolutely." I said, "I'd like you to meet a young man." And I took Max down. We had a meeting, and I said, "I'd like you to give Max a chance on the bill for his first professional show." And he did so brilliantly. He was asked back the year after. I couldn't do it. I was already booked, but he could do it. And Bobby Davro headlined that year. And so that was his start. I got him on the show with me, crowbarred him in thanks to Hazel Lattice down at Bognor, and we're building and building and building, and he is a joy. He's an absolute joy. I've never known him. When I FaceTime him and we discussed stuff, for the first few little FaceTimes, I used to think, oh, he's being a bit rude, he's being a teenager, because it looked like he was on his phone. The head was slightly down. He'd look up and go, "Yeah, uh-huh."
Right.
And then look at me again. And I thought, oh, he's updating his Facebook status. That's a bit rude. And then I got an email, and he'd written down all the notes I'd given him. Every nuance, every tiny suggestion, everything. I said, "When you do this, try, I don't think that's the right line. I think you need a better line there. Or I've got a gag for you. Why don't you give this to Gordon or Grandad or whatever?" And it's just a ream of all my notes have come back at me, and I go, "Oh my God, he was listening. He was so listening." And that's a pleasure as well. There's nothing like giving everything you've got. Somebody's just soaking it up.
That's incredible. Incredible. So everything you soaked up from Ken Dodd, all of those.
You, Steve, you have been outstanding to Max and I. Selfless, most beautiful support from the very, very get-go, and you are talked about and revered by us so highly.
Oh, bless you.
Because you champion that boy like nobody else does, and we love you for it. You're such a genuinely great guy, and you don't have to. He's young, he's coming up, and God, you've been so helpful. I can't tell you. Thank you, mate.
Oh, bless you, Hilary. But I think we get this from Ken Dodd, don't we? Because Ken done it to us. Roy Hudd.
Pay it forward.
Ken, Keith Harris, Jimmy Tamley. All these people. They've paid it forward. And we do the same. And he doesn't need it from me now because he's working so hard, because now he deserves it because he's worked for it. And
We've
Max
got
is
some nice
working hard.
stuff, some nice ideas, and you know, I'm always open for people who want to write stuff for Max. You know, we've got somebody new come on board, which is exciting, with some unbelievable good ideas. Unbelievable good? That was great English.
It's unbelievably good. I quite like the sentence. It's brilliant. No, so no, thank you for doing what you're doing for Max, because it's he needed somebody to grab him. You came at the right time for events, you know,
Yeah.
and
he also comes from a great family, a lovely family who I've got a lot of time for. Fabulous mum and dad, great brother. He only lives 15 minutes away from me, so it's really cool.
Oh,
so
perfect.
I can go over and do script stuff with him. You know, before Blackpool Convention, we worked so hard, and before pantomime, his first Kudos pantomime last Christmas, we worked literally every day for 2 months prior to Panto even starting rehearsals, because I wanted him to be so good.
And he was so good. With Biggins, Ricky J and Biggins.
Ricky J was so lovely to him as well.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Max just shone in that show. He really shone, and
when he won the award, he won the best speciality.
I know.
Award.
Yeah, we both presented awards, didn't we, on that show this year from our living rooms? But he deserved it. He really deserved it. He's worked hard, and
very kind of you.
It's good to see other vents doing well, you know. And when I interviewed him for my book, the lad is so intelligent. He's like a younger, intelligent, better version of me when I started out, you know. And
he knows so much about the business.
I know,
as well.
It's scary.
You know,
he's done his.
He was around at my house 2 days ago. I've got garden meetings going on because I can't obviously bring anyone in the house, and the banter out there is out the chill and chat office, and he still blows me away with who he knows. And if I mention somebody thinking, "Oh, Max won't know who I'm talking about," oh yes, he does. Oh yeah, and he can name a TV show or a tour they did, and I'll go, "Oh, okay."
He's done his homework. Not only is he great with his knowledge with the business, but he's technically one of the greatest technical ventriloquists, and he's got a flair for comedy. He's so good.
He's good like you. You're a very good vent as well. Very, very good. And also, you know what you are? You're so likeable. When I said about me just now, it sounds just awful saying, "Oh, I'm likeable," but you are. And you know what? You have to love an act. You have to they have to walk on 10 seconds. You go, "Oh, I like them," and then you kind of a bit way there, not halfway, but a bit there, because you just need to like the act. I think you and Max have likability. You know, Paul Zerdin has been great to Max as well. He's been fabulous. He's a lovely guy. Everybody has. Jimmy Tamley, everybody, all the mates are really like, "Well done, Max, you know, doing great," and it's just charming.
It's what you need. Yeah, this business is about encouragement, isn't it? And especially at a time like this, with what's gone on, you need the support, you know, of people and friends, and obviously Max needs it as well, you know. But and you're there for Max now, even though you need it. Bless you, you're working so hard, you know, with Mum and with Max. You're in the middle, aren't you? But thank you for doing what you're doing. But
I've also got a mentalist now that I'm looking. I say looking after. I'm looking out for. I'm pushing him in a new direction, because his name is Matt Daniel Baker, and you know, we've got cruises lined up for much later in the year. Hopefully they'll all come through.
Yeah.
But we're all prepared. If it doesn't, we're all prepared. We're not going to kick off or anything. But so I'm working with Matt, and I'm excited about that. So I've got a Matt and a Max, and they're both gorgeous acts. And but I really, when I take on personal management, it's proper. You know, we go over every fine detail. I would never push Max for anything. We've got a job offer at the moment, and I said, "Don't you dare think you need to take this. I want you to think about it for the weekend. No pressure whatsoever. Because I'm a performer, and I know how I would feel."
Yeah, taking stuff that's not right for you as well.
Right now.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
Thinking, "Oh, I'm not sure I would do that if it was me." So if he says, "I don't think I want to do it," I go, "Totally fine. Let me deal with it. It's fine. No, don't even give it another thought."
Yeah.
Because I've got his back, you know.
But you understand Max, and you know what he needs, and you know what won't work. You know, you won't put him in that wrong position, which is important. You know.
No, I won't, and I won't
put
anything on that's too much. I don't want him to be overwhelmed. I want him to be totally in control. Yes, fun, great, excited, like Cracker Jack. We were so prepared.
Yeah,
so
brilliant.
So fine tuned to the nth degree, and therefore he really enjoyed the experience. I never want him to be scared, be out of his depth or anything like that, unprepared as a thing.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's exciting to see what's coming up. Hilary O Neil, thank you so much. That was incredible.
All right, sweetheart. Bye-bye, darling.
Thanks,
Talk to you
Hils.
soon.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.
Ice and Teeth.
Thanks so much to Hilary O Neil, and if you want to keep up to date on Hils, Max or Matt, then check out hilaryoneil.com for her website and Facebook, and tweet her on @HilsO'Neil. This edition's quote is from the lovely Victoria Wood. Radio killed variety, and TV killed radio, and the internet will kill television, and it will go on and on. Ice and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett, vocals by Larissa, Lola and Nina Hewlett and Rich T. The cuckoo interruptions were by our clock on the wall, and our fabtastic jingles and music are produced by the cosmic and very brilliant Kevin Dean. Tune in next time for the end of season 1 when I talk with the legendary Jimmy Cricket.